I grew up in the church. And when I say I grew up in it, I mean all the way in it. Sunday mornings that turned into all day affairs, back again 3 or 4 evenings during the week, and at least one Saturday a month spent at a church cookout. Honestly, the church had more of my time than my own house did. If the doors were open, we were there. And if they were closed, somebody had a key. And some of those sermons did not just pass through me. They stayed for decades, like leftover casserole that just won't leave your spirit. One in particular has never left me. I remember our pastor saying, maybe what you're going through, maybe the reason you are being tested is because your name came up in a conversation. Now, listen, as a kid, I did not like the idea of my name coming up in any conversation, especially not one involving God and the devil. That already sounds like a meeting I did not ask to be invited to. But he was referencing Job. In Job 1 and 2, God and Satan are talking, and God brings up Job confident, almost proud, like, have you considered my servant Job? Meanwhile, Job was somewhere minding his business, not knowing his name just got dropped in the most high stakes group chat in America. Satan responds by saying, Job is only faithful because his life is blessed, protected, and easy. Bad, basically saying, of course he's acting right. Look how good he's got it. Then he says, take that away and sees what happens. So God allows the test, but with limits. He says in Job 1:12, everything he has is in your power, but the man himself do not lay a finger. And um, and just like Job, like, wait, what conversation? Who said my name? I did not sign up for this. We know how the story goes. Job loses his children, his wealth, and eventually his health, and he still does not curse God. Now, that idea has shaped how I see suffering for most of my life because what if hardship is not random? What if it's not punishment? And what if it's trust? What if your name came up in a conversation and God says, I know they can handle it? Now, I'm not going to lie. Some days I wish my name would stay out of these conversations. Like, Lord, please pick somebody else this week. I've already been through enough this month. And then I think about my time as an oncology infusion nurse 10 years. 10 years of sitting with people in some of their hardest moments of their lives. And I've never done a scientific study on this, but I will tell you what I've seen. Some of the kindest, most genuine, most loving people get cancer. The kindest, most genuine, most loving people get cancer. And I would sometimes sit there thinking, God, you picked the nicest one again. And often, the younger they are, the more it feels like their spirit is just pure. And that's the hard truth to sit with. Um, there is no neat explanation, no clean answer that wraps it all up. But it always brought me back to that sermon. What if their name came up? Not in a cruel way, not as punishment, but as a reflection of something deeper, something strong, something resilient, something seen. Still, if there's a sign up sheet, I would respectfully like to remove my name. Now, I fast forward to today, and I find myself thinking about the same idea on a much larger scale. When we talk about being mentioned or spoken about, I do not think the Bible meant it in the way nations are being talked about today, publicly, politically, and globally. Take the recent statements from Pope Leo the 14th. In 2026, he's spoken about the United States on several major issues. He's called for an end of U.S. led bombing in Iran, reminding the world that Jesus is the Prince of Peace who rejects war. He has challenged harsh immigration policies, urging compassion and dignity in how migrants are treated. He has critiqued decisions driven more by economics than human dignity. And then on Palm Sunday, we got a special shout out again. Now, I do not know if that means America's name came up in the conversation the same way Job's did, but I do know this. If God and somebody are talking and your name keeps coming up, it might uh, not be because you're doing everything right. Being talked about is not always a compliment, and being tested is not always a punishment. And being seen, truly seen, comes with responsibility. So, uh, Pope Leo the 14th, um, as the representative of the Lord on earth, um, can you put in a good word with the Lord for the American people? But in America great again? Or are we still being tested?